I'm here now with our political analyst, Steve Flowers. Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you. It's a big day for Birmingham, Alabama.
It is a huge day. How big, historic is this for us to have President Barack Obama come here?
Well, you know, it's always big for a president to come to a state. The country is divided now, Gina, in red and blue states. So during presidential elections, they ignore the 40 of us that pretty much are in the barn. Half of the states are automatically red Republican, half of them automatically blue Democratic. So they fly into certain states to raise money. He was here, when his first race, and he's been to Selma 2 weeks ago, for the 50th anniversary of the Selma Montgomery March. So, it's just, being the leader of the free world, you hadn't got time to fly around and visit everybody all the time. But it's a big day, and I think it'll be an interesting day to follow him today.
Yeah, what's interesting is when he was running for office, he kind of ignored us.
Well, that's just, like I said earlier, that's the reason, is because it's a foregone conclusion that Alabama's going to vote Republican, same way it's a foregone conclusion that California's going to vote Democratic, so it's just a matter of the way the Electoral College works now. And I mentioned that to you several months ago when you asked me the question about was Birmingham really in play to have the Democratic National Convention, and I told you then I didn't think so because they usually will pick a city in a state where it's a swing state that might enhance their chances to carry that state. So ultimately a state like Florida or Pennsylvania is a much more attractive state for a Republican or Democratic National Convention because they got a chance to carry those states. So that it was not a reflection on Birmingham that Birmingham was not in play. It was a good effort by Mayor Bell, but this is a good sign today, and it's his second foray into the state in the last 3 weeks. With him coming to the Selma Montgomery anniversary and now Birmingham, and I think it's just good for the state to have this visit.
The other big thing that's happening is the Supreme Court ruling with this redistricting of our voting lines. What do you think about that?
That really could evolve into a very big issue. The Supreme Court, I was surprised they heard the case because they only hear about 1 in every 200 cases. But when they heard this case, it raised a few eyebrows. When they drew the lines, the Republican majority drew the lines, they drew the lines with a political angle to, of course, enhance Republican seats or solidify Republican seats, but they did not discriminate against African Americans per se. They had the same number of African American dominant districts, 26 in the House and 10 or 12 in the Senate, but they stacked those districts, and so the loser in the whole scenario were white Democrats. They almost wiped out any chance of a white Democrat winning. So by virtue of that, the Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision yesterday remanded it back to the 3-judge panel. It could call for new elections, which would be traumatic or big time in the state. So I don't know if that's going to be the result, but they sent it back and said, y'all have stacked especially 4 districts in Ortonly and in gerrymandered those districts. And, let's look at it again.
Yeah, it should be very interesting to watch. Political analyst Steve Flowers, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Gina.
Appreciate it.